Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's a pleasure to see you with us for to celebrate the final event of our TREASoURcE project. Today marks years of collaboration, experimentation, and shared ambition across regions and sectors. But it's also a moment to spark new ideas. I'm excited for us to spend this whole day reflecting on what we have achieved and what comes next. Before moving to the objectives of the day, and also the words of our project officer, Davide Delaiti, I would like to introduce our project for you briefly. And also starting with the agenda. So we will start with the morning plenary session in this room, Pagoda. And then we will have the opening remarks right now. And then we will have a keynote for scaling circular solutions from research to market uptake by Lucy Blondel. And stakeholder engagement for real-world impact, collaboration models, and lessons learned. And then we will have a 10 minutes of coffee break. Sorry, 15 minutes. And then we will move on to enabling conditions for circular economy, quick pitch to key value chains, and morning plenary session wrap up. So we will have the 3 key value chains here. And then we will have our lunch break. And then after the lunch break for 1 hour, we will move to downstairs to 3 breakout rooms for 3 key value chains: plastics, battery, and bioeconomy. We will give you the instructions about which rooms to move on. After this breakout session, we will have the afternoon plenary session again in this room. So we will come here back so you can leave your everything in this room. It will be locked during the breakout session between 1 and 3. And then we will continue with the circular economy learning for diverse audiences, online training in 3 cities, presented by Kaisa Sibelius. And then local fix and repair workshop formats. We will continue with reuse and toy swap, and we will finalize the final event. So after my words, I will give the speech to Davide. But before that, let's have a look on the TREASoURcE project very briefly. So TREASoURcE has started in June 2022, almost 4 years ago, and it has a total budget of 9.9 million euros. We have 15 partners with 1 affiliated member and coordinated by VTT. And TREASoURcE is a CCRI project. As you can see, all of the partners are from the Baltic region and also expanding to Germany. About the project objectives, TREASoURcE aims to initiate systemic change by developing technologies and systemic circular economy solutions in cities and regions for currently underutilized or unused plastic waste, end-of-life electrical vehicle batteries, and biobased waste and side streams. Implementing these solutions together with companies, societies, including citizens, consumers, communities, and regional actors, and experts in the field is expected to significantly increase product and material circulation in the Nordic and Baltic Sea regions. Okay, objectives of the day. What are we aiming today? We would like to bridge between research, policy, and market actors to emphasize collaboration and scaling to support future circular economy transitions across Europe. We will have cross-cutting themes: research, digitalization, business models, market stakeholder engagement, and cooperation. We will have policy, project pitches, roundtable discussions on enabling conditions for circularity. So we would be appreciated to engage all of you, and please feel free to speak up with your ideas. And we would like to explore the value chain specific challenges with you, solutions and assessments. Citizen engagement practices showcasing replicable models from multiple cities is also one big part of this today's event. Now I would like to give my word to Davide Delaiti, our project officer.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. Let me introduce myself. So I'm Davide Delaiti. Many of you might know me already because I'm the project officer of TREASoURcE. I've been following the project since the beginning, since the start. So it's 4 years of intense work. And I had the chance to, let's say, follow all the, let's say, the progress, the changes. So it was a really interesting journey. I would like to start from a broader perspective. So projects like TREASoURcE, I think that they are highly relevant in the European landscape because they match quite well, let's say, with the key European priorities that there are at the moment at stake. So such the transition to circular economy and energy efficiency and independency. As you know, the European policy framework is increasingly trying to move from a linear to a circular economy and business models. And these, for example, include like scaling up solution for different waste streams, development of secondary raw materials market, and the integration of circularity into industrial and regional systems. I think that in this TREASoURcE, it's quite well aligned with this type of framework for various reasons. First of all, it is a project that is tried to considering, let's say, structural challenges in a sense from a circular perspective. First of all, by tackling heterogeneous waste streams and by tackling also different value chains. So this is the case for various CCRI projects, but this project, I think that it does it quite well because it includes plastic, batteries, and bio-waste streams. To this, let's say, heterogeneous approach to different value chains, the project also adopt a sort of, let's say, regional and systemic approach. So it's fundamental to, involve the right stakeholders. And in this case, I think that TREASoURcE is doing pretty much a good job in this sense by involving different local actors. This is why I think the TREASoURcE project was considered since the beginning a really good example among the CCRI family. It was often invited to let's say, deliver speeches on best practice and so on and so forth. And it still is the case. I would like also to thank the consortium for the quite active participation in the clustering activities because it was, let's say, a really good collaboration and good commitment. And yes, so the CCRI in this case, let's say, matched quite well with what TREASoURcE is trying to do. Now we are heading in the final part of the project, as you know, so the last months, where some aspects become more relevant, like the replication part. So I know you're working or you already submitted, let's say, replication handbook. I think this is gonna be, let's say, your legacy also for the future best practice of future Horizon Europe projects. So I think it's going to be quite important. But yes, as I said, we are heading to the end of the project, and of course, the review is going to be in a few months. But I'm sure that let's say we will have a good discussion also there. I would like to conclude this intervention with a couple of remarks on, let's say, the good collaboration that personally I had with the coordinator, with all with other project partners. I know there have been, let's say, some challenges, especially at consortium level in terms of composition and so on and so forth. But I think these are, let's say, structural, unavoidable challenges that consortium and projects have to face during the implementation of a project. And yes, so I think this is it from my side. I know that there is a quite a rich agenda, so I wish you a good talk and good discussion for the today final event. Thank you.
So we can move to the keynote speech from CCRI. Lucy Blondel, Policy Officer, Research Innovation and European Commission.
Good morning and welcome. I'm very pleased to see so many of you, some familiar faces, some newcomers. Always a pleasure to take talk and hear the results of projects we found. I'm here today to tell you a bit more about the CSRI, why we came out with this idea of an initiative for cities and regions on circular economy. Place it into context, the policy and funding context, and also take stock of results and key achievements overall. Of course, TREASoURcE is just one of many CSRI projects, so we'll try to see what we have been able to achieve together over the last 4 years before looking forward, what we could still do, because of course we would really like to see this as just the end of the beginning. But first thing first, let me set the scene and how, let's say, the circular economy has clearly moved from a more environmental, let's say, topic under the European Green Deal to a more central part of the EU economic agenda now through the Clean Industrial Deal and the upcoming Circular Economy Act. Circularity is really becoming more central when it comes to competitiveness, resilience, reducing dependency on primary raw materials. At the same time, there is still a gap, especially on the research and innovation side. We have a lot of pilots implemented with the support of projects like yours, but we're still struggling in moving from a piloting phase to a real deployment and upscaling of this proven successful circular solutions. So this is what we are working on, to move from innovation, from piloting to market uptake. And the policy context has been evolving, as I said. And here with the Circular Economy Act that we see as a key milestone, we would like to, there is a, let's say, a much stronger focus on creating a genuine single market for secondary raw materials. This means, what does it mean? It means quality and standards. It means increasing trust between the different circular stakeholders. It also means reducing regulation fragmentation across member states, which we know are blocking some circular solution implementations. It also means creating more demand, for example, through public procurement or product requirements. But ultimately, all this only works if solutions are implemented on the ground in real systems. And this is precisely where cities and regions play a key role. And this is exactly where the CSRI comes in. So what it is, I believe most of you know, but for those who may still be quite new, and the CSRI is a very practical initiative that has been designed to address this implementation gap I just mentioned and to respond to the EU policies that I also mentioned. It really focuses on implementation, how to ensure cities and regions have the means, the capacities, the right support, the right guidance to actually become truly circular. And we do this by combining EU funding technical and financial advice, and a strong community of practitioners. We can learn from one another. It was launched as part of the EU Circular Economy Action Plan back in 2020, and its specificity is really about. Okay, now this presentation is playing with me again. It's really about promoting a more systemic approach, which is very well reflected through the TREASoURcE projects. How we can inject circularity across sectors, across value chains, involving many stakeholders from both the public and private sectors. And as you can see, it's largely funded through our Horizon Europe program or INI funding program. We have earmarked more than 280 million euros just for the initiative and all activities related to it. Why this focus on cities and regions? Here again, I think we have a public that is quite familiar with this. But here, just to confirm that from the EU perspective, cities and regions are really the ideal living labs where we can test solutions in different conditions, where ambition is high and where enabling factors are identified and therefore can be shared more broadly for future replication. In terms of key achievements, after 4 years, the TREASoURcE has developed into a strong European ecosystem. As you can see, it gathers today more than 140 cities and regions, and also more than 300 organizations. But beyond these numbers, the key achievement is really the portfolio of solutions that have been tested in practice and that are now fully documented and available for other cities and regions to follow. And this really gives us a solid evidence base on what works and what can be upscaled. To make this more tangible, this slide includes a few very concrete examples of pilots that have been supported with the support of a dedicated team of experts. Some of them are in the room today. Just to mention a few, in Uppsala, a digital marketplace has been developed for reuse construction materials, helping to close loops in the building sector. In Munich, Germany, the city is working on a cross-sector system for reusable packaging involving businesses and logistic actors. In Podravje, Maribor, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it well, organic waste streams are transformed into biobased fertilizers to regenerate soils. So as you can see, a very broad and diverse portfolio of solutions, and all very inspiring. Last but not least, in Roubaix, France, low-tech circular approaches are used to regenerate industrial buildings and local economy activities. Many of these solutions, as I say, have been documented. You have the QR code here on the top right that redirects you to the solution booklets. That is a great reference, so I would definitely warmly recommend you to have a look at it. So now this is where the TREASoURcE projects come in, and TREASoURcE is of course a very good and concrete example. TREASoURcE have been working as the previous speakers already mentioned on several value chains, demonstrating solution across different regions. What we have appreciated about this project is indeed the combination of technological innovation with stakeholder engagement and governance approaches that we know are key in the process. In that sense, TREASoURcE and others really bring substance to the initiative and help translate circularity into reality. Here again, I don't have much time to tell you more about the projects, but you have here a link to a recent project portfolio analysis that really draw conclusion on what has been the key enablers, the key blocking elements for supporting their implementation. So another great source of inspiration. So what we have learned, starting with, let's say, quite general conclusions. First, that technology is rarely the main barrier. Governance, coordination, business models are often more and critical and key factors for success or failure. Second, scaling still requires a more systemic approach. And when we try to be systemic, this is where challenges arise. But value chains, policies, technology, stakeholders all need to be well aligned so that all works well. Third, investment readiness. Here it is essential, and many projects still need support to make their solutions become attractive to investors. And this is why we have been working already in partnership with the European Investment Bank through the Circular Cities Center. And this is one of the aspects we would like to work much further on. And finally, peer learning between cities and regions has proven extremely effective. And this is, of course, what will be strengthened soon. Policy recommendation, I won't say much about it because I know that a colleague of mine will present, but just to say that together with TREASoURcE stakeholders, there have been some reflection, consultation to see and to learn from these very concrete examples. What would be needed, what would need to be more regulated, or on the contrary, less regulated, so that circularity is boosted at the local level. And this quite intense, let's say, participatory process has resulted in a set of very concrete recommendations that we recently delivered to our assisted policy DGs who are working on drafting the Circular Economy Act. So all the learnings coming from projects like TREASoURcE, like pilot cities and regions, like the one I just mentioned, are basically captured and shared with the one working on EU policies to come. What the TREASoURcE offers, I think this can be summarized in 3 categories: knowledge, community, project support. I don't think I need to develop that part much further. I would only recommend the ones who would like to benefit from it to again scan the QR code that will redirect you to our TREASoURcE Compass that provides more information on all the type of support services, ranging from peer learning, training to more dedicated support. But also provide you with direct links to our key resources like the TREASoURcE methodology that provides step-by-step guidance, but also our self-assessment tool that is also a tool to have if you want to identify where you are in this transition and how to prioritize your next steps. So speaking about prioritization, this is just another visual of the different services offered by the TREASoURcE, also to basically showcase that wherever you are on the circular journey, whether you're only starting, whether you're at an intermediate level or more like a front runner, there are offers for all of you. And the more you basically ask and the more you can benefit from it. But this has really been designed as a sort of a comprehensive support where that move you from a purely strategic step to a very concrete implementation one. So what will come next? The TREASoURcE is not ending. On the contrary, it will soon start entering, let's say, in a new phase 2, with a much stronger focus on scaling, because as I mentioned, this is what we believe is very much needed. The objective is to move beyond these individual pilots to create coordinated pathways to scale, including more structured peer learning and exchanges between cities and regions. At the same time, we need to provide even more differentiated support, depending on the maturity of regions. We also aim to strengthen links with other priorities. Circularity alone, the narrative doesn't necessarily fly when we talk to policy or political leaders. So here again, how to make sure circularity is more embedded into all the more sectoral policies, whether they are related to climate, environment, digitalization, or the local economy. Another focus, as I already mentioned, will be this investment readiness. Here, our idea is to work more with potential investors. And last but not least, we will also like to reach more broadly regions that have been left a bit aside, meaning getting more towards Eastern Europe in particular, but not only. Regions where we know the circularity potential is very high, but the capacities are still quite missing. It will translate into new opportunities for cities and regions willing to join the TREASoURcE initiative. More information will be provided soon. But I can already tell you there will be new peer learning opportunities, more study visits, because we know this is what cities need to also see with their own eyes what works elsewhere. We will also, as I mentioned, create an investor network and help cities and regions who already have solution ideas to translate these ideas into concrete projects that will then be plugged with investors and therefore actually become true. So yeah, really moving from experimentation to scaling and financing, as I already mentioned. What this means for you, for cities and regions, this means faster implementation. Peer learning tools, targeted support is basically hopefully all you need to move forward and faster. For industry and SMEs, it creates opportunities to test and validate solutions in real life environments. And for TREASoURcE projects like TREASoURcE, the key added value is working together rather than in isolation. Through clustering, projects can really connect around common value chains, common challenges, build on each other's results, and scale more quickly. So with this, I would say that let's move on together. The real challenge is not about creating yet new circular solutions, but to make them bring the market. We believe the TREASoURcE is one of this key vehicle for implementation, and we rely on you all to get engaged, to get involved, and we'll make sure to provide you with the right support for it. And last but not least, I would like to thank and congratulate the TREASoURcE project team for their journey and their contribution to TREASoURcE. It's certainly one of our key projects, broad in scope, but tangible in results. So thanks a lot for that. I very much look forward to the rest of the conference and the discussions ahead. If you have any questions, I will be staying around, at least in the morning. Happy to address any of your questions. For the rest, yeah, until next time. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lucy, for the nice speech. And now we can move on to stakeholder engagement for real-world impact, collaboration models, and lessons learned. I can invite Yelizaveta to the stage for the moderation.
It work? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. I don't have slides, so I will just make a short intro. So thank you all for being here, and welcome to this session. We'll discuss stakeholder engagement, different practices, and different projects. So as just like a small intro, maybe you all know the transition to circular economy is actually not about technology, and this echoes something that previous speaker already talked about. We actually know already that it is fundamentally about people. So it requires different collaboration among municipalities, NGOs, industry, citizens, and networks. We also know that engaging stakeholders is a popular thing, but it is easier said than done. And today we'll be talking about different barriers, also how it works in practice, and what could help strengthen the engagement. So to help us explore this, I have several speakers today, and we will also have a roundtable discussion. So we'll begin with a short round of pitches. I'd like to invite Jan from TREASoURcE project as the first one to talk about our experience, and then we'll move forward to others. Yeah. So I don't know, Jan, you want to use that mic or my mic?
I think I'll use this one.
Okay.
You can hear me? Thank you. My name is Jan Bakke. I'm project manager from the County Authority of Østfold, and I'm going to talk about stakeholder engagement practices and collaboration models and lessons learned in TREASoURcE. So TREASoURcE brings together working on stakeholder engagement practices for collaboration, innovation, and just transition to circular economy, and brings together a wide variety of target groups like citizens and communities, procurers, businesses, event organizers, and funders. And some important questions we've been working on in this project is how can we instill understanding and motivation for benefits of circular economy? How can we increase stakeholder capacity to implement circular economy? And how can we learn from stakeholder motivations and achieve just transition to circular economy? One important question is how can we reach out broadly on circular economy given limited resources? And what we've found is it's really important that we use the trusted and established arenas where the stakeholders already are. When we go to kindergarten, schools, libraries, community houses, we can save time. We can integrate new circular behaviors in everyday places and in people's everyday life. And we can sometimes also limit the need for volunteer resources. We've also found that while co-creation and collaboration on evolving the model takes time, we see that it's essential also for building trust and legitimacy among the stakeholders for our efforts. And also it ensures shared workload, and we get a much stronger communication reach when we work with several organizations. Okay, some lessons for regular and inclusive citizens' engagement in circular economy. Action comes first. People learn by doing first, not by knowing first. So focus on practical, active participation and tasks. Offer engagement methods which give opportunity for learning, both supervised learning and peer-to-peer learning. And we must also have creative concepts where the citizen can make circular products and see opportunities in the waste streams that they didn't see before. People love to learn something new and perform practical tasks, at the same time contribute to their own life, families, and local community. Some lessons on communication. It's to draw people in, focus on concrete benefits for the target groups involved. That's what they care about, not just the circular economy in itself. You need to use visual communication and storytelling to reduce barriers to the groups who don't really participate. And material and formats has to be adapted to local conditions and challenges. Municipal roles and motivations may vary, but they often have political decisions and plans which give legitimacy and motivation for their engagement. We've been working in TREASoURcE from learning from best practices and created concrete tools and principles for CE smart procurement. And public procurement is an important tool for strengthening the market for CE solutions, both for industry, businesses, and local bioeconomy. By using partnerships with political participation, having joint initiatives, and connecting the procurement policies to other CE policies, we get an opportunity for wider implementation. So in TREASoURcE, we have created new collaboration models and action patterns, and a number of new tested and effective tools and practices. But how can we now together extend the impact and reach of the actions we have started? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Jan. I was asked to be here so that the camera could see me. Okay, I think that was very good setting the scene, and we'll hear more about TREASoURcE during the day. But now, Sanna, please, the floor is yours. We'll hear about CARE project.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Sanna Teinilä and I come from EcoFellows and I work as a project manager in CARE Circular Households project. EcoFellows is a circular economy expertise from Tampere, which has also taken part to the TREASoURcE project, and we are a non-profit organization and mainly owned by the city of Tampere. CARE project in brief, we are encouraging households in Europe to adopt more sustainable lifestyles. We have 5 pilot areas in the project. They are in Tampere, Asker, Gothenburg, Lääneharju, and Berlin. And we have both local interventions and academic research to find smart ways to use resources wisely in these local pilot groups. And there are 2 pilot groups of households. One is for reducing food waste and one is for sustainable clothing. And there is also a local partner in every area, and we are as EcoFellows, and we are providing advisory services to the households and taking care of the implementations of the interventions. So CARE project aims to transform 100 European households to circular economy during the project. And we're using a practice theoretical approach to help households to learn new skills and learn new practices so that they could have better routines at their homes. And households are supposed to take part to the project approximately for 20 months, which is quite a long time in one's life if you think about participating. And we have found 5 critical points for household engagement in the project. The first one is the interest, how to raise people's awareness and interest to the project so that they would apply for it. And do we get enough people to sign the consent form so that they are really willing to take part? Then before getting to actual pilots, there is this baseline studies, which are quite heavy. They have to fill the survey, do the food waste diary for 2 weeks, or in the wardrobe group, they had to do clothing group. They had to do a wardrobe inventory of all the clothes they have at home, and have they bought them new or secondhand, or are they maybe repaired or need repair? And then there were also interviews by local university. And now we are in the intervention phase. There are 3 different intervention phases on different themes. And how do we get households to participate into the workshops so that we can count them active households? And in the end of the year, there will be this end of studies. The pilots will end, and after that, the household should participate the same kind of assessments as in the baseline studies to find what has moved or has something moved. So our big question is how can we get 100 households or 24 households in Tampere to participate and commit to the care project for 20 months? And from financial sector, we learned the idea that to make your first million, you have to start with 2. So we tried to get as many households to apply for the project as possible. Here you can see some numbers from Tampere of the households. We got more than 70 households interested in the project. 45 of them signed the consent form and 34 did the baseline studies. And now we are in these interventions and we have 35 households on board. And in the end of the year, we should have at least 24 households so that they will do the end of studies. But I'm quite optimistic that we will have at least 30 households. But in order to engage households for this long period, it is essential that households understand what is expected of them when they take part to it. It was the beginning when there were a lot of dropouts because they understood that maybe this is not for me. And secondly, we have to understand what motivates the household. So thank you very much, and soon I will be in the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Sanna. Yes, please work. Yes, you can. I think we are in this panel very lucky with different projects which are really practical. We're here now. Also another presentation by Koshiki, please. Also Circle Up, a project that is dealing with households too. So very interesting insights from Koshiki. Yes.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Kaushiki, and I work at an environmental charity based in Oxford, UK, called Outpatch. And I also work exclusively on the UK pilot for our Circle Up project. So, what is Circle Up? Very similar to CARE. The goal of Circle Up is circular economy transitions, and we aim to transform 100 households to adopt more circular practices in their daily lifestyle. And we aim to do this through micro behavioral changes. We have 4 implementation pilots. We have one in Bergen, we have one in Bottrop, Wantage, UK, and we have one in rural Latvia. Circle Up is based on a data-driven ecosystem. We have designed a Circle Up app, which contains gamification elements, which contains automatic data updating from the smart waste bins, which we will be providing. So that way households don't really need to measure their waste. It will just automatically be updated from the smart waste bins into our app. There's also a community building element where each household can write stories about their circular journey, and that just creates a sense of community and we're in this together. So coming to the point, how the stakeholder engagement model works is that households are the core actors, and we engage them through already existing networks, such as NGOs, municipalities. How we did it in the UK pilot was that we contacted a local community action group and we used their network and their participants. And we also used their concepts of workshops and peer learning. So in this manner, it was much more easy for us to target households that were already interested in this topic. And alongside, we also went door knocking. So if you see the statistics over there, that's the Circle Up team in UK. We knocked on roughly 3,000 doors, and we got around 200 people who were interested in Circle Up. And out of 200, there were a few people who dropped out, and a few people who, when they heard what they had to do, they weren't interested. We ended up recruiting 50 people, 50 households for the project, and we just needed 25. I think it was great. It was a success, or till now it was a success. And yeah, how this will work is that we are still in the first phase. Do I have a timeline? Yes. So we're still in phase 1. And once we enter phase 2, we will be starting with the behavioral change tools and personalized advisory support. We will be helping them download the app and set up the smart waste bins. Once that is done, we have material support advisors who will go to each household and help them provide a personalized feedback based on the data that we will be collecting. So this model of stakeholder engagement kind of makes it more personal, and it makes it more feasible for households who have a life and a job and possibly a lot of things to do. So I just wanted to share a few quick insights from the UK pilot. This is the local community action group that we partnered with. It's called The Mix, and they host a variety of circular economy services, such as a repair cafe where you can take your old electronics and get them fixed rather than throwing it away. They have a community fridge where if you're going for a trip and you have bread left over, you can keep it in the fridge and someone can use it. They also have a refill station, so you can refill your soap bottles, your shampoos, instead of buying new ones. And they have a library of things where you can rent things instead of just buying them. We did an initial survey when we were recruiting the households, and these are some of the results. So the first one is an awareness usage gap. And as you can see, 70% of the respondents had heard of the local circular hub, that is The Mix, but a lot of them said that they only use it occasionally, and a lot of them said they didn't know about it. The main barrier was that people knew a lot about the circular economy services in their own town, but they just never used it because it was not convenient for them. So firstly, the convenience barrier. They wanted longer opening hours to fit it within their work schedule. They wanted physical access and location to be better. There was no parking, so a lot of people did not want to go. And of course, the linear ease of just ordering things online was one of our main barriers for stakeholder engagement. One very interesting find was that people were participating in Circle Up not because of the financial incentive we were giving, but because environment was a concern. So, which at least surprised me a lot, but I think it's great. As I said, we're just in phase 1, and we will hopefully have more and more insights about circular engagement and engaging households and stakeholders as we move on to the different phases. Thank you.
Not work. It's working. Sorry. Thank you very much, Kaushiki. You don't have to go back because we'll be now going to the round table discussion. Let me change the next slide if it changes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm inviting all the speakers to the stage. Second. Yes, and I'm also inviting Tuce, please, from the network, from Association of Cities and Regions for Sustainable Resource Management. So let's do it a bit differently, though, that we don't have a sort of press conference here, but we can be, so to say, comfortable talking to each other. just 30. We can move maybe. You want still to do the press conference? Okay, that's fine. No, it's fine. We can sit here. I was thinking we can move the chairs to the center.
Like you want.
But it's fine if you feel comfortable with this. Then it's fine. So here's the also mics for all of you. Okay, but I will be sitting here so that I could see all of you. Ducha, so I was thinking maybe we can start with you.
Okay.
So from the association perspective, working across different cities and stakeholders, what is, in your opinion, maybe the biggest challenge in engaging stakeholders, and what could be, which stakeholder group could be the most complicated, if I can ask this way, the hardest to engage?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I was the lazy one without presentation. Sorry. So I work with and for cities and regions, and I think I'm going to say obvious things today because I think we get lost sometimes in the details, but sometimes the most basic principles are always, healthy and solid to go back to. So from the perspective of cities and regions, of public authorities, I think engagement is, I think we talked about circular economy long enough now. I think across Europe, we can say probably that there is a basic level of awareness about it. So the next question is, where is the people? Why don't they show up? We mentioned this, the Central Eastern Europe. I think the challenge is really the time and resources and capacity. And I think maybe sometimes we ask the question in the wrong way, why don't they show up? Maybe we should be asked, what can we do more in order to, interest them more? There is a lot of events, a lot of surveys, a lot of consultations. People are asked to do lots of things, and we have to remember they are doing these things apart from their daily jobs. So we have to remember this, and we have to adapt to their, I think, agendas and timing. And they have to see the benefit. And this is the challenge, and for other stakeholders, I mean, they have different priorities, different ways of working. So yeah, maybe we can talk about that later.
Yeah, yes, thank you. So Sanna, what's your perspective on that, coming from a really practical project, and you're also already in the middle of the project, I think, right?
Yes. As our target group are the households, and as I showed that we really made a marketing plan for getting people to be aware of the project and to apply for it. And we started half months before we actually started the recruiting. And we got these 70 plus households to apply. And but what was lacking were the young adults and households with high incomes.
So these were the most challenging to actually engage. Yeah, Kaushiki and Jan, maybe you can also say a few words. So from your perspective.
Yeah, we at Earthwatch actually had a very long internal discussion about this because one of our biggest challenge was that we were only recruiting senior retired people. And we were really concerned because we wanted a fair representation. And so the hardest recruitment for us was definitely people who have like full-time 9 to 5 or jobs, just jobs like families. And while door knocking, I actually saw it myself because on several doors when I knocked, a mom with 2 kids screaming in the background and a dog barking opened the door. And if she doesn't want to spend time on circular economy, I see it. So, but
I would understand, yeah.
But that's the point. So one of our main things was also making sure that the challenges and our project would be easy so that anyone can do it. But yeah, I think that was the hardest group to recruit.
Yes, thank you, Jan. So from TREASoURcE perspective.
Well, from TREASoURcE perspective, of course, for everyone, no matter the stakeholders, of course, time and resources and capacity is a very important issue, and they need to. So one of the ways, of course, that we solved this was by going directly to events in their local community where they also could have concrete activities which would be directly relevant to them, sort of supporting local community, sharing things, doing something practical, fun. Yeah. But what I think perhaps could be most pressed, especially, is when we're talking about businesses for sometimes, because businesses need very, very strong incentives to go outside their core activity, really to how does this make any kind of business opportunity for us? So therefore, in these situations, we saw that we really needed to also sometimes to give them concrete opportunities to put, for instance, to present their business ideas or to meet potential customers or solve things that was important for their business.
Yeah, that's a good point. That actually leads me to the next question on barriers. So we know the challenges, but then we take a step back, so to say. The main reason, and we can name them a few, but maybe it depends on the stakeholder group. But what could be the main reason why initiatives in circular economy engagement initiatives fail? So we've talked about incentives, and maybe this is something also that Tuchel already mentioned. But maybe is this about awareness too? We're doing a lot about awareness. I think a lot of actions are also focused on raising awareness, or is it about involving maybe too late into the process? Also, are we like also engaging people with enough time, or is it about trust? Maybe there's trust issues in general. And here we can also touch upon different countries. So I don't know what's your perspectives. You can voice them. Just you can start, Sanna. Yeah.
Once again, from the household's perspective, the main reason people often say that they don't have time, as Jan already mentioned, but there are also other things. It's easy to just quit it.
Do people care like a lot about circular economy, or is it more about money? Like if we put it very bluntly,
in our marketing, we tried to bring several benefits for them so that everyone could pick what suits their best. There were smooth everyday life living, and also this money saving and environmental issues, but also one was quite surprising that some of the participants were interested in taking part to the international academic research project.
That was the incentive. Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
And also learning new skills.
Yeah, Kaushiki.
Yeah, I mean, as we were just saying, sometimes awareness in itself is inefficient because a lot of people, most people know about this, right? But it's very difficult to beat the ease of linear economy. And when we were door knocking and when we did the survey, it turns out that a lot of people do care about the environment, but they just don't have time, or they're just probably lazy to actually take an action. And thinking back to how Circle Up as a project is designed, I think that's also where behavioral intervention comes in. So I think behavioral interventions do not have to be big or life-changing, but the way we designed it was to make sure there are micro interventions, because it's easier to do small things in a day than to do one big thing every single day, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I think that's something, or that's a way that this can be tackled.
Okay. Tuğçe, yes.
I'm going to say one thing about citizens, because we might not know how an industry actor works or SME works, but we are all citizens here. I think we have this very important source point for thinking about how easy it is to become circular in your household. So that's a good advantage. For cities, from the EU to regional city level, from the cities to citizens, let's say, I think a very common mistake is to involve them, like you were saying, late in the process. We call it co-creation, we call it this and that, but is it really?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when you go with a legislative file to the cities or to the citizens with a plan or a drafted, and you say, so what do you think about this? Is there any room there to say, no, let's start again? No. So that's very important, and it's very difficult, and it takes time, but I think it provides ownership, and it makes people more active, and they carry it then, I think,
Yeah,
because they are part of the foundational process for it. So yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to, well, of course, there might be different reasons for different target groups, of course. But one thing I would like to address is sometimes like trust, both the communication and trust issues, especially for groups who might feel like these new changes or the circular economy might be perceived as a threat. And I just for like an example for farmers, they often have a lot of practical knowledge and are sort of engaged in circular practices without sort of thinking about it as a part of circular economy. So what we need to do with these groups, of course, is we need to talk to them directly. If you use a survey, they won't have time, or with sort of thinking that we already know what the important things are when we need to ask them and talk to them. So when we successfully engage farmers, for instance, we talk to them directly and we ask them and to see what are the important issues for you to be more circular, I think. And of course, for some other groups, for like businesses, it could be often like incentives. What are the incentives? Is there some kind of financial support or otherwise? So yeah.
I think that's a good bridge to my next and final round wrap up. So the communication. So we talk about the skills of communication actually, and it is one skill that is important when we engage people. But I'm wondering, maybe you could each of you one short takeaway to the question. So what is this one capacity or one skill that we all need to learn, or that you think is the most important, that would help us improve this engagement? So yeah, we've already talked about communication, but maybe there's something else, or you can also elaborate on skill of communication. That's fine. You want to start? Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, I think actually, because of course, as different stakeholders, we have different positions really, and sometimes also different motivations. So one skill we could focus very much on when we're collaborating is to understand and working on understanding and respecting our different motivations and for transforming to the circular economy, because I think understanding and respecting those things is a key thing for being able to move forward.
Yeah, I would actually add on to that because that was very similar to what I had in mind. I think relating it back, I think storytelling is such an important part of it, because how you frame it to who and making sure that it's relevant for each and every person you're talking to. Because circular economy can look very different for different socioeconomic classes. And I think
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So I think relating it back to where they live, how they live, and making it local and relevant for them is probably one of the biggest takeaways.
don't you, from cities or
Yes,
perspective? Yeah.
I'll give an example.
Yes.
We are working on industry symbiosis a lot. And UK has this program, which is an accelerator for industry symbiosis, and they have been working with it since 10 years now, more. And recently they changed the name from industry symbiosis to reuse network, because they say, okay, let's adopt this communication, because maybe industry symbiosis sounds just too much. You know, go with something that people already have a concept about. So that's an adaptation, I think, which is a nice example. And one skill we can learn, in my opinion, is when something doesn't provide good results, honest to say that and learn from it, because I think we are a bit too much maybe pressure to say everything is great and there's no problems. But we know that it's not a good learning opportunity. So that's something maybe.
Yes, exactly. How we then learn if everything is excellent all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. That's a great point. Yeah. Sanna.
I would say that facing people is very important. And in our project, we have also had these advisory services for which are tailor-made for every participant. So in the first meeting, we had a face-to-face meeting or online meeting with everyone personally. And first we went through their these baseline studies. So what was the baseline, where they started from, and gave them some and talked with them about the improvements they might do them at their homes and living. So and in the it was nice to hear in the first workshop of, for example, in which was about laundry, and there were at least in one group there were 3 households saying, I got homework from because I'm doing my laundry in too high temperatures, and so they were really practical things they are learning, but they had taken this it was because it was tailor-made and said
Yes,
personally
yes,
to them.
yes. Also like a sort of adaptation to their interests. Yes. So thank you very much. Thank you all the speakers. And to conclude today's discussion, I think we all have to acknowledge that stakeholder engagement is not just a supporting element in circular economy, because this is the element that makes the work actually in practice succeed. We've heard today about real challenges, but then we also heard examples that are actually meaningful and have meaningful engagement. One thing maybe to take away from this discussion is that circular economy, in my opinion, and what we discussed here, can succeed if we all work together across different levels, across different sectors, and with key stakeholders in the center. So with that, I close this session, and thank you again for being here. Thank you very much for our panelists. And now it's time for a well-deserved coffee break. Thank you. Started moving it, and then I realized it was so heavy.
Little bit later, maybe. Perhaps a little bit later when announced. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. All right, welcome again. Moving on with our next presentation, next session, enabling conditions for circular economy. I would like to invite Riina Kärki as our moderator in shortly. So Riina will announce you the presenters. Yes, surely. It's fine. Okay, the stage is yours, Riina. Just to show you, it is. Yeah, on microphone.
Okay.
Moving forward with the slides backwards.
Okay.
And this is
Okay.
later. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. And if you already know, I just came in a minute here, and will be a little bit trying to focus on this moment now. But yes, we are talking about the enabling conditions for circular economy in this session, and I would be asking that Pirkko, can you join us and tell something about what is enabling conditions in our perspective in TREASoURcE project?
Okay, so good morning, everyone, from my side as well, and happy that we have Riina here as well. I was her backup if she couldn't be here in time, but luckily she just managed to arrive at the last minute, so great to have you here. And as mentioned, I would like to introduce what we have been doing in TREASoURcE and what we have been focusing on, and learn to be the most important enabling conditions for circular economy. And I come from Business Tampere, Finland, so we are working there with the stakeholder engagement, business development, and exploitation of results. So that's, of course, very important for the enabling conditions for circular economy. And as you know, in TREASoURcE, we have been focusing on 3 different key value chains, plastics, batteries, and bio-based materials. And we have like 4 main pillars for the enabling conditions in the project. Of course, digitalization is very important. We get more data from the materials, we can trace them, we can ensure that they are safe, and they also enable replication across regions and countries. We have also developed a marketplace regarding the bioeconomy, circular economy, which we will hear more about later on today. So that's a very nice example on the digitalization tools that we have developed. Of course, the policy and governance is very important. So to align our activities with EU regulations and standards, of course, also affecting on the regulation, like what we have been doing in TREASoURcE, like what would we need regarding these pre-value chains, and what we have found out to be the key drivers or obstacles in promoting circular economy. And we have been working with the regional demos and also the replications, so showing different types of pathways in different regions and different countries for promoting circular economy. Market and finance is, of course, a very important tool. And as mentioned in TREASoURcE, we have been doing a lot of pilots, replications, but of course also we want to push the scaling up in the regions and like the next activities after the pilot phase. So that is, of course, a very important way of promoting circular economy. And it needs a lot of collaboration with the public and private sector. And for instance, the procurement procedures play a very important role in that. And if we think about the stakeholder engagement and the infrastructure and collaboration, that's, I think, the main key for all of this to happen. So that is something that we have been a lot of emphasis on in TREASoURcE, to like connect the key players together to align the value chains, to find the sweet spots and the challenges that we have to tackle, and how to train people, how to exchange knowledge, and how to learn from each other, how to share the best practices, whether it's public-private cooperation or rural-urban models, industrial symbiosis, or something else related to shared data. But that's like in a nutshell what we have been focusing on. Now I leave the floor to the next pitches. Thank you, Riina.
Okay, and then we will have Hanne Hagedorn telling about her visions about the enabling conditions. So welcome, Hanne.
Okay. Yeah. Good morning as well from my side. I work for Prognos, and we've been part of the CCRI Community Support Office. And for this, we've developed the CCRI policy recommendations in the R&I Gaps and Policy Report. In the last one, we've done the recommendations in view of the Circular Economy Act, which is due for adoption this year. So as Lucy has already mentioned, the recommendations have been going into the policy design, and we can hope that a lot of them will be adopted in the Act as well. So in this report, we've tried to bring experiences from the grant from cities and regions, including as well TREASoURcE experiences into policy design, on EU level, and really make concrete recommendations. So we've tried to answer which parts of the regulatory frameworks need to be changed and how, so really concrete, and how measures could potentially be introduced and how could they be financed, also a very important factor, of course. I'll just give you a brief overview now. We can discuss the details later on. So we've made the main 6 policy recommendations here. So leveraging public procurement, you've heard it's also been important to TREASoURcE's project. For example, we recommend minimum criteria for circular public procurement that are mandatory. and a duty to motivate for priority groups, product groups. We also recommend the price quality ratio to make this a default, and also to introduce life cycle costing as a default cost methodology. Just some examples here. We also recommend transforming the extended producer responsibility to incentivize circular design and waste prevention. This means, for example, to introduce eco-modulation through digital product passport data. So using this evidence of the DPPs to adapt the fees that companies have to pay for the EPR. So to have as well an opportunity to finance all phases of the waste hierarchy. So not only focusing on the last part, but also focusing on prevention. So financing this through the EPR schemes. And also have one-stop shop for EPR compliance and for paying the fees. So regulatory alignment here. And we also recommend reforming the end of waste criteria and the waste hierarchy to enable circular material use and make the waste come back into products or not being waste in the first place. We recommend EU-wide standards, for example, and have binding implementation acts that are based on GRC assessments of priority streams and the technical standards. So to come, to modular implementation for different product groups as well that can be extended. Then we also, of course, recommend boosting the demand for secondary raw materials. I guess we all know virgin materials are often much cheaper than the secondary ones. So we demand to have a recycled content mandates through the eco-design sustainable products regulation and also through sectoral legislation. We recommend to have a tax incentive like a new VAT category and reduction for recycled products to also boost the market demand here. And then we also recommend to have the collection and material recovery of electrical and electronic waste to boost that, for example, through consumer deposit schemes and for design for assembly, for safe treatment measures as well that could be financed through the extended producer responsibility, for example, that could be also risk sensitive. So the more risk and for end of life the product has, the more fees they have to pay. And then, of course, scaling circularity through regional and transnational cooperation. We've heard urban industrial symbiosis already and scaling beyond pilots. So this is a very important point for this. That's it from my side, basically. This one you've already seen from Lucy. It's just the QR code again for the concrete solutions, which also includes the actionable lessons and tips for replication. And that's it from my side.
Thank you.
Great.
Then, yeah. So then I'm asking Ida Miettinen about circular economy enabling conditions, and you can tell about your all roles. You have many roles.
Yeah, thank you. And really nice to be here with all of you today. So I'm the Circular Economy Project Associate for working for Climate Leadership Coalition, running the Circular Economy Coalition. Then I also chair for the Finnish Ministry of Environment for the Circular Economy Green Deal Group. So the Circular Economy Coalition has been founded together with leading industrial Nordic circular companies and researchers. We form a joint voice together with decision makers with the aim of building markets for circular, the circular materials and solutions. So we aim on removing the bottlenecks around circularity and to build incentives around it. And this means that we influence both EU and national policy. And we've been just freshly founded by the end of last year. So we look at circular economy from the full life cycle point of view. But nevertheless, we are currently focusing on the material circulation and industrial scale recycling ecosystems because those markets are not yet functioning efficiently and require targeted actions around it. But we do believe that Finland and the Nordics are in a key position in scaling circular plastics. We have the full value chain represented in Finland with industrial investments and technological capabilities representing complementary recycling technologies in mechanical recycling and both in chemical recycling. I would say in comparison to EU countries, we are one of the strongest countries currently when it comes to our capacity in chemical recycling. Then we're also currently expanding our sorting infrastructure, and then we have innovative industrial converters who are already deploying products containing high shares of products of recycled plastics. So the keys are in our hands, but we still need to harness the market economy to support circularity. As we heard in the previous speech, currently still the linear solutions are cheaper than the circular materials, and we still need to boost the demand for circular materials. This means that we need to create equal competitive conditions and unlock the profitability and industrial scale. So how do we then do this? So together with over 10 industrial companies, we have created a policy, EU-level policy brief, and these are the core elements in it. Enhanced demand is a prerequisite for market development. Mandatory recycled contents requirements are supported, and also green public procurements. Then we need to have strengthened single market with harmonizing the EU rules, especially for end of waste criteria. And we do need a price on municipal waste destined for incineration to align economic incentives towards expanding recycling. Currently, it is still too easy to incinerate waste that could be recycled. Then we need to scale up chemical recycling in complementarity with mechanical recycling by ensuring that mass balance rules promote pathways that can target low quality waste, and so that we can also utilize the current capabilities that we have available around chemical recycling. And by the end of it, we need to ensure a level playing field with imports to ensure a thriving recycling and plastic sector in the EU. And this could mean such as the modular EPR for when considering recycled content in products. So thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Stefan Sivka, Head of Sustainability Prosperity for Europe Program, European Policy Center. Welcome. Tell your story.
Thank you. Is this working? Yes, perfect. Well,
Take us.
yeah, I'll try this and then see how it goes. Well, thank you. And also thank you for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be part of. Oh, but I don't have any slides, so I will just provide my reflections like this. So thank you. And also it's a pleasure to be part of your story, given that neither me nor DPC was part of the project itself, but you kindly extended the invitation that I share a couple of reflections from the think tankish perspective. And I'm happy to do so, but indeed also just to congratulate you on the project, which I understand is in its final stage, and I can imagine a lot of work went to it, and it's something definitely to be proud of. Indeed, I think the topic that you raised as part of the project and what we could hear thus far is really very pertinent and also relevant when we look at the EU policy making, what's happening in the Brussels bubble. I would like to share a couple of points on that in particular to add to the discussion. So just to say, indeed, I'm heading the Sustainable Prosperity for Europe program at the European Policy Center. European Policy Center is a Brussels-based independent think tank. We cover a wide range of topics of relevance to the EU, including also topics such as circular economy, industrial decarbonization, energy transition, and trying to always look at the bigger picture, where do these agendas fit in, and try to provide recommendations also for the way forward for the policymaker, but also other stakeholders. So if you look at the circular economy, and especially say that the policy framework, I would just say a couple of words about that, and then to also shed more light on where does the digital agenda fit into this framework. So I would say how we used to think about circular economy in the policy context was very much circular economy was situated within both the sustainability and competitiveness agendas. That is how it all started, I would argue. And the discussion was, how can we use circular economy to advance both competitiveness and sustainability, where the trade-offs are, how to address them, etc. So this was the main discussion thus far. But then in the last couple of years, there is another spice in this dish, which is the security or geopolitics spice. And nowadays, you cannot basically talk about any topic in Brussels without running it through the security, through the geopolitics filter. And circular economy has a major role also within this new context. Usually, circular economy is kind of very often you could be regarded as a more successful story of the Green Deal, of the green transition. Depending on the sector, you could argue that it's good for business, good for employment, for new jobs, for a number of reasons, but it varies. It depends on the sector, depends on particular. It's, of course, a very complex topic depending on the value chain you're addressing. I think I would say when there are synergies, then fantastic. Great, then let's think about the policies and investments that can scale up these solutions. But it's also interesting to consider the potential trade-offs when it comes to circular economy and competitiveness. For example, if we want to tackle the product side, we need to think about how we go about it. We are introducing we are changing the existing system. And, we need to think about if we want to use financial incentives that they actually deliver, that they result in the change we want. If we want to introduce regulatory aspects like eco-design regulation, we need to see that that we carefully address it so that these solutions, and when we develop new standards, that this really works on the market. And there are different policies, different results that I can expand upon maybe later on, but just not to go too much into the nitty-gritty of it. But there have been challenges when it comes to circular economy and competitiveness. When it comes to recycling, for example, very often, and this was the case thus far, we still live in a linear economy, and companies still choose virgin materials over secondary materials. They rely on global supply chains rather than regional circular supply chains, either because secondary materials are more expensive or because they're of lower quality or they are so perceived. And it takes more to invest to get the better quality of the secondary materials, so then increases the cost, etc. So this was the case thus far. With the security agenda, we have a new dynamics there, because now the global supply chains are not so reliable. There are lots of risks associated with it. Then the tension between competitiveness and circular economy can be in a way reduced because circular economy is important for security, focusing more on regional supply chains, materials or components that you can access at home, making your products more durable, reduces these dependencies. But that's also, there are new challenges, for example, and as part of the security agenda, you have That's why we have a bigger emphasis on critical raw materials. But is Europe really ready to fully take stock of its the critical materials in its urban mine? Do we have that capacity? Do we have the policy framework to really get all of those critical materials and to bring them back into the economy or to retain them in our economy? Question mark. I would say, so the circular economy has that relevance, but we also see that there are challenges with scaling up circular solutions. Digitalization in that sense can serve as an enabler. Why? Because one of the challenges with circular economy is that it's a complex value chain. You need to look at the bigger picture, and information is key. So digital solutions can help enable the transfer of information, sharing of data, sharing of information between different aspects of the elements or stages in the life cycle in the supply chain. Also, so think about digital product passport that was mentioned, also artificial intelligence, blockchain, you've heard about it many times thus far, I believe, but also to improve different processes. So think about using robots or man-machine interface to separate used products, to better dismantle them, to improve recycling processes with the help of robotics, with sensors, with connected machines. So there are these possibilities that digitalization can offer. However, that there are also challenges when it comes to that. Information sharing, there are lots of question marks around data confidentiality, private data, business sensitive data, and this is why it's still an ongoing process. It's a journey to agree on what data and under what conditions can they be shared, reused, etc. And also investing in, let's say, improving our recycling capacities costs a lot of money. It's a capital investment. It's a capital expense that you need to put up front and then to hope that you will get the result you want. For example, that you get a pure sample of secondary material of the metals you want, or the critical materials you want, with better recycling techniques with the help of digital. So so there are challenges with circular, but also with digital to scale it up. When we think about policies, I think we need to think about policies more generally that can help advance the circular economy transition, but also policies that can help scale up the use of digital tools for circular economy. And for that, we need regulatory instruments, we need financial incentives, we need the soft law, the EU, but also at the member state level altogether. And we need to look at the digital agenda and the circular agenda, both ends of these, and these two agendas and people working on these two need to talk to each other. And that's something that we also kind of notice, that there is still work to be done, that we translate these priorities in different languages in this regard. There are quite a lot of initiatives now ongoing that are important. So the digital product passports under the eco-design regulation, the batteries regulation, digitalization of waste shipment reports, on public procurement that was mentioned, the revision of public procurement directives, lots of things going on for sure, the negotiation on the MFF. Again, I don't have time to go into all of these details now at the moment, but just saying that the opportunity is there. The digital can help make circular economy more competitive and to make our economy more resilient, more secure, and we have that chance now. But also we need to think about how to green the ICT sector and to avoid the negative side effects of digitalization itself. Because you're introducing some new digital gadgets or QR codes or new equipment that you need to think about the circularity of that. I would argue that digitalization is happening. It is a fact, and we need to tap into that and steer the digitalization towards the objectives, the priorities we want to achieve, such as circular economy, decarbonization, competitiveness, and security, while accounting for the negative side effects at the same time. Also, just to forget the common data space, European common data space is being developed, which is also an interesting initiative to follow with respect to circular economy and digitalization, data sharing. There is more, but I think I should stop here and happy to answer any questions or comments you may have. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Stefan. And then we have our last speaker, Camille Hörlad. and you are Junior Policy and Project Officer in EURADA, European Association of Regional Redevelopment Agencies. Here you can go.
Okay, perfect. Amazing. Good morning to all. I am Camille Herlot, Junior Policy and Project Officer at the European Association of Development Agencies. And I would like to thank TREASoURcE project to have invited us to talk today about the CCRI Knowledge Hub. So the CCRI Knowledge Hub aims to leverage existing initiatives and projects to foster the adoption of circular economy in cities and regions in Europe. The project has a duration of 36 months, expected to end in December 2026, with an expert consortium of 11 EU partners in 6 EU countries. It has the objective to increase the impact of the existing CCRI by enlarging the network of involved stakeholders, bringing together the knowledge and critical mass already developed around circular economy implementation and building upon the circular economy stakeholder platform. It brings together a collection of enabling technologies, practical tools, methods, reports, and good practices, all selected for their relevance at local needs. Beyond resources, the CCRI and Knowledge Hubs offers customized support, including a diagnostic tool, personalized mentorship and capacity building activities to strengthen implementation capacity. It also provides policy recommendations and sustainability guidance, helping local authorities design long-lasting evidence-based strategies to foster circularity, innovation, and collaboration. So the CCRI Knowledge Hub addresses digitalization, governance, market creation, but also inter-regional collaboration as enabling conditions. Concretely, these enabling conditions can be showcased with the use cases of the project coordinated by our partner CETEC and matter for scaling circularity in plastic or battery reuse and repurposing. But I believe my colleague will have more time than me to present it during the roundtable. So our mission as EURADA is to support regional innovation, economic transformation, and cross-border cooperation. Within CCRI Knowledge Hub, EURADA is assigned diverse tasks, such as analysis of good practices within circular economy projects and initiatives, stakeholder engagement, extending the initiative to our network, customized support services, capacity building activities, and first delivery of services, and policy recommendation and sustainability. EURADA's contribution to circular economy includes the participation to a wide range of European projects across different topics, with emphasis on circularity and sustainability. Alongside the CCRI Knowledge Hub, we contribute to other projects on circular economy, such as Friendship that was mentioned this morning, but also active projects such as TREASoURcE, aiming to accelerate the transition towards a more sustainable and competitive circular economy. It is also a project under the umbrella of the CCRI. So TREASoURcE applies and expands the CCRI methodology across 3 key value chains identified by the European Commission that are water management, bio-waste, and plastic and packaging. And we also have Just Fashion that is aiming to support the just transition in the fashion industry by providing businesses with a reference framework and tools to shift their production methods, internal procedures, and final products towards more sustainable models. So thank you very much for your attention, and do not hesitate if you want any more information about any of these projects within the CCRI initiatives, and I will leave the floor to my colleague for the roundtable. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have a panel. So I'm asking you panelists come to here to the panel. So we have here Margit Kohl, and you are the PhD student in the Tallinn University of Technology. And we have Hanne here, you already heard Hanne. And we have Ida, you also heard Ida. And we have Stefan here. And then we have Adonesia. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounce your name.
You can call me Nancy.
Nasia.
It's easier.
Okay. Nancy. Okay, thank you. And you are the one from Eurada also, the policy on project officer there. And so thank you everybody coming here in our panel. And now we are discussing on enabling conditions for a scalable circular economy. And today we will explore the role of digitalization, policy frameworks, market development, and business models in driving circular solutions from pilot level to real impact. So my first question for you will be that can you briefly introduce yourself still, Nancy, because you were not talking yet.
Okay. So, as you have already mentioned, I am a policy and project officer in Eurada, and we are focusing mainly on the implementation of the CCRI Knowledge Hub that will give interesting inputs, I think, in this roundtable, considering the enabled conditions. And we are very happy that we are here.
And then, Margit, can you shortly describe your position?
Yes, hello, and thank you for asking me. And I study at TalTech, Tallinn University of Technology, and my main focus is on industrial symbiosis and the resilience to different external crises like COVID, like the war, economic crisis, etc. So that's my main focus. Yeah.
I'm asking, can you hear all these mics well? Good, thank you. Okay, then the first question about scaling enables across digitalization policy, market conditions, and business models. Which enabling conditions have you found most effective for scaling circular economy solutions and why? And who wants to say? You, Ida, sounds like you want to say.
Sure. So, as I also represent industrial companies myself, I work in different boards of companies and have been an entrepreneur myself in circular economy as well. And because of my background, I think all of these areas are important, but nevertheless, the business model is still the most important because a company always has to be able to build a growing and profitable business. So basically, there needs to be a market and a clear value proposition and customers willing to pay for the idea and the business model. And then again, you need to have a technology and a solid solution that works reliably at scale and building it from scratch towards the scale. But then, of course, in addition to having needing to be the markets there and to having to be the right timing towards the market, the policy needs to support the business to thrive. And especially in circular economy, it's more important than ever that the policy supports the demand and supply of circularity.
Yes, thank you. Can you, Hanne, then continue with the policy aspects?
Yes, I agree with Ida. Let's say I would wish for that the policy and legislation would be an enabling condition and not a barrier. we've seen so far, it's often a barrier. It's not aligned among levels from EU level to local or regional level. There's many steps. So, and we've also heard from Lucy before, policy making is not always an easy process. So yeah, also there are many barriers in the process and in the governance itself. But yeah, I believe it has huge potential. Legislation can steer businesses and can steer the economy very well, but it also requires digitalization, digital data as an input, and then can steer the market conditions, I believe.
And probably one of you have a comment for that also.
I don't believe that there is only one enabler that is the most successful. And why I'm saying this? Because in CCRI Knowledge Hub, we have seen that there are a lot of elements that are playing role in enabling conditions. So you need to study very well the landscape in a local level. You need to take in consideration all the aspects together. You cannot look only at the digitalization tools. You cannot go alone and check only to the market part. You need to be there with the people and all the time to try to understand what are the barriers, what are their needs. So this is what CCRI Knowledge Hub showed to us, that it's a process that it's continuous.
Yes.
And you need all the time to validate and see how in local level these processes are going, how these models are getting more mature.
Yes, I agree. I probably think Stefan will agree also, but what is your angle?
Yeah, I would say it's a policy mix that we need to think about policies, different policies, and how do we implement them successfully, whether it's one instrument or another. And there is a delicate interplay between these instruments and between digital and circular and related policies. And I'll just give an example. If you want to invest in a more, say, optimal recycling or successful recycling, that you get certain materials of good quality that are competitive, you need the economy of scale, for example, very often. If you want the economy of scale, you need to see how you go about waste shipments across Europe, because that can help create the economy of scale that you need to justify investments. And we currently don't have a single market for waste. There is a good reason for that. Also, we have the informal sector. Let's not forget about that. But that's also part of it. So if we enable the economy of scale, we can justify investments in better recycling, and digital is part of it. So you need to think about waste shipments as a way to digitalize recycling and recovery of materials in that stage. And that's just to exemplify how, how these different policies and instruments relate to each other. You also need investments in infrastructure, different financial instruments like public procurement. So and regulation can be part of it, but I think we need to start from the markets and see what are the cases where there are good cases or bad cases. And policies can be, sometimes there is just market failure, or sometimes policies as they are part of the problem. So you need to address policies to enable the market. So when I say circular economy and competitiveness are sometimes in tension, it's not just because of the nature of circular economy. Sometimes you need better policies to iron out these tensions and to enable the synergies. So it's a rather complex topic. I think we need to use the power of the market, and we need to see how can, for example, where the EU can step in. The EU can do a lot in terms of improving its single market, and that's also about standards, product standards, but we need to do that in a careful way together with different stakeholders and businesses, so that we introduce rules that can actually work in practice. So a mix of regulatory, financial instruments, soft law, both on the digital and circular economy side is a recipe for success, I would argue.
Good, sounds very good. Then probably, Margit, you have some perspective for the regional aspects.
Yes, I actually agree with the previous speakers that the case is very complex, and we need to think about the very, very different things and aspects altogether. What I would like to maybe point out is the awareness of the consumers and how we make them clear and understandable, what kind of waste we need to recycle, etc. But the regional level, I mean, the local policies are very important. If we research the digital marketplace, then it actually very clearly came out that the local policies make the process happen. Either we can use the platforms or not, because if there is no need from the policy level, then it is sometimes too much to expect from the companies and entrepreneurs to think that we need to act circular all the time.
Yes, that's true. Before we go to the next question, I have to check out the time. What was the time? 40. Okay, yeah. Okay, then the next question about the financing. What financing instruments or business models do you see as the most promising for accelerating adoption of circular solutions? And can we start then probably with, yes, sorry.
Okay, I understand.
Very hard name for me.
It's okay. So from our experience, again, from CCRI Knowledge Hub, I would say that people have understand that the most successful approach is public and private funding together. They give more attention to the public procurement more and more when it comes to circular economy, and lately a lot to innovation actions, because they want to produce something that can go to the market. So I think that this is the trend that we can see through the project.
Yes. How about then the business case, Ida?
Well, I think it's most relevant for adoption is the time to market when you start the business in the markets, and how does the regulations support the timing, and how are the financial incentives around it. I've been myself a circular economy entrepreneur in the reusable packaging scene, so I think these were the most important criteria. But then if I look at it from the capital perspective, I think it's important that we have private equity available, especially for startups, and most importantly also that we have public grants and joint projects, and so I think it's a combination of these that we need to drive. Yeah, so I think the most important factor is that we have the paying customers when to actually for the adoption.
Yes, that sounds very good. Then we just have to found those possibilities. Okay, Stefan.
I mean, just briefly, I would say, I mean, public procurement definitely important as a demand side measure, as a financial instrument, which is a demand side measure for circular economy. And I would raise like a sometimes controversial issue or sensitive issue about potentially using. So we are about to invest a lot in defense, for example, and an interesting question now is kind of, can we also use defense spendings, which is also very much about public procurement, to scale up some circular economy solutions that can be important for the army and for the defense sector, just to kind of add something more on top of what we usually would say when we talk about public procurement. But also we need public investments where the market can hardly be as successful, such as in infrastructure, digital infrastructure, circular economy infrastructure. The Commission has announced the development of interregional, trans-regional circularity hubs in its Clean Industrial Deal. I can't imagine that from happening without investments. And I think that's also the role for public spending and investments to pool these regional resources together to create these circular industrial zones, for example. And there is also a very interesting whole world of financial markets, and how do you link the financial markets to circular economy, which is easier said than done, because the EU doesn't really have a fully developed single financial market, but it's linked to the insurance, to the taxonomy, to lots of instruments that we are still missing to align, to connect private investments, private funds with circular economy and many other sustainability-related business practices. In a nutshell, I would highlight these.
Thank you. How about you, Margit? How do you say that?
Thinking about especially about this digital marketplace project, then what we didn't focus on funding issue so deeply, but what came out is the main question: if we have one circular idea, what we want to start to use. Then the question is who is funding it, and usually the companies say that we wouldn't like to fund the development of the platform. So definitely the external funding is needed for new ideas.
Yes, and circular economy doesn't pump up if we don't get some external money. Yes. And Hanne, yes.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to come back to the public procurement again to a measure to overcome the valley of death for scaling from pilots. So I think it's 14% of the EU GDP at the moment, public procurement. And I've always been wondering, like, what's so difficult about it, and why is it so difficult to include circular in it? But then when I think of, for example, regional or even local actors, one person in the municipality, and all the rules that they have to know and to understand and then to apply, I always wonder how they do. So I'd really like to spend a day with them and see what that brings in practice. And I think EU standards and tools and criteria, all of this could be probably very helpful to not have to decide case by case in the municipality itself, but rather have something like a guidance to apply. And this coming also with capacity building, hands-on learning with the tools, I guess. So it's still a little bit of a question mark for me how they manage in practice.
Yes, then I think we have already used most of our time, but I want to give you all your last words. What do you want to highlight still? Probably we can start from Stefan and you can go further.
Well, thank you. But again, just so to say briefly, digital is definitely an opportunity, but we need the right policies and instruments, financial instruments to make it happen. I would just say the global context and collaboration with other, what we say, like-minded partners is also important. Europe cannot achieve, the EU cannot achieve the transition alone. We need to search for like-minded partners, and of course, it's easier said than done in a geopolitical context. We can see, but working on product standards with other countries, trying to see how we can collaborate on also recycling or manufacturing, and it makes sense, of course, to be careful about exporting one's waste, for example, and use materials. The EU is taking this approach, but it doesn't have to be black or white. Under certain conditions, we can work also with different countries about strengthening circular economies on both sides. What is currently interesting are negotiations with the US and Japan on critical materials, including also potential price floors. Very interesting topic on its own, but maybe circular economy could play a prominent role as part of these negotiations. So just one additional thing to say and nothing else to add specifically on top of what I already underlined. Thank you.
From my side, I believe that it's good not to fall in the loop of too little, too late, which means that we need to push for cross-regional coordination between the different projects to aim to this aspect in order to remove the barriers that we are spotting through the work that we do with the regions and the cities. And the best recipe is peer learning and replication, in my opinion.
Yes, Ida.
Yeah, so I agree with you, but I think it's most important that we have common harmonized markets and rules within the EU. And why so is that because circular economy doesn't exist if we don't have international value chain cooperation. And now we can see a lot of different kind of national regulation happening in different countries, leading to complexity. And also this is happening within the incineration. And while this is going further and further, we end up in a situation where the waste is not the resource in another country in the same value, and we don't have the same rules. And I think this is the most important priority to win. And then we also should learn from other countries the best practices to implement the harmonized systems, but also should we learn about the best business practices that we have in different countries, and not to be working only in silos.
And Hanne?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think looking at the global situation, I think it's really necessary that the EU market becomes more aligned so that we can scale up. And speaking of scaling up, I've also been leading the working group on industrial symbiosis. And I was always searching for good examples, and TREASoURcE has been the only one in the beginning. And it was always a good example, and I hope the others can learn from it, and we can scale up these good solutions.
Yes, and I would, from my side, I would say that if we want to build the good business models, then we definitely need to have the EU regulations. These are very good, but we have to think about the local context. So they have to fit, they have to be supportive. Definitely what we have found that data collecting and the quality of the collected data is a very important topic we have to focus in the future more and more. And it is because we can then start thinking about the new technologies and create better solutions and understand the basis of the design of the new materials and what we need for the circularity.
Yes, thank you all. I want to one closing question to all our audience. I want you to raise your hands about which enabling conditions do you believe currently has the greatest potential for impact? Is it that I will say it again: digitalization, policy, market development, business models, procurement, or these cooperational models? So digitalization, no hands for that. About policy? Yes, like nearly half. How about the market development? Some hands, yes. And business models? Some hands, yes. How about the procurement? Yes, also some hands. And then the cooperation? Like half. Okay, so I think it was policy was the winner at the moment. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, our panelists.
Okay, so we had a really fruitful and insightful morning session until now about scaling circular solutions, enabling conditions and stakeholder engagement. But before the lunch break, we can still spend some minutes on quick pitch to key value chains in TREASoURcE. And we will also have a wrap up for the plenary session. So I would like to invite Christian Lindfors, first of all, for the plastic session, for a quick pitch.
Okay, so hello everyone. Yeah, so about this plastic value chain. So in this TREASoURcE project, we have been looking at the whole chain from the beginning to the end. So first sourcing of the feedstocks. So we have been looking at 3 different type of feedstocks here. We have looked at agricultural plastic waste, industrial plastic waste, and municipal plastic waste. And these feedstocks has then been pre-treated and sorted. And after that, they have got to mechanical recycling. In mechanical recycling, we have been looking at either to try to improve the quality of the plastic in the Varex unit, or then it has been pre-treated with a modular extruder for a chemical recycling. And in chemical recycling, we have 2 different routes. So one is this thermal pyrolysis. Here target is to produce naphtha for the steam cracker, and from the steam cracker produce again new virgin plastic. The other route is to produce chemicals. So here we are using catalytic pyrolysis to obtain this valuable benzene, toluene, and xylene. And of course, after pyrolysis, the pyrolysis oil needs still some upgrading. So for steam cracker, we need to saturate the compounds and remove some impurities, and that has been done by hydrotreatment. And after that, it's ready for final use. And of course, the value in this is that we have developed the technology for this, and also we are using the fluidized bed reactor technology in pyrolysis. So this is known for its scalability, so it can be scaled up into quite large scale. And we have also demonstrated in our pilot unit. But yeah, in the afternoon, you can come and listen more to this.
Thank you, Christian. Maybe we can move on to the batteries session. So I would like to invite Fride to the stage from Sintef.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I have been co-leading together with the Recube, formerly EcoStore, this work package on second life batteries. So we have looked a lot into, first of all, what are the challenges and hinders that kind of slows down the implementation of not just second life batteries, but kind of batteries in stationary storage in general. But of course, with specific focus on the second life. We've looked a lot into both the European and the national legislations in the different areas to see what's actually there and what's not there. What do we need for future regulations and standards? And of course, we've had the demos. So we've had 3 battery demos, 2 in Norway and 1 in Finland. And this afternoon, we will present a lot of the data that we have from these 3 demo sites, a lot of the learnings that we have, a lot of the challenges that we ran into, both due to lack of regulations and standards, but also a lot of differences between Norway and Finland. So we learned a lot what not to do. And hopefully that can help others later to implement these more successfully and more efficiently. Finally, we've also, through some of my colleagues in Sintef, there's been macroeconomic evaluation of these, which you will also hear more about this afternoon. So of course the main kind of idea here with the circular economy in this is that we take EV batteries, used EV batteries, and when they're no longer good in a car, there's still a lot more of energy left that can be utilized. Those batteries are then put into new use in stationary storage. And this is, of course, where Recube, which is unfortunately not able to be here today, have been instrumental in building the battery systems and installing them at the 3 demo sites. So a lot of the work, practical work that's been done is, of course, done by Recube. But yeah, this is what you will hear a lot more about this afternoon, and I hope many of you will come and listen to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frida. So we can carry on with Rina for the circular bio-based side and waste streams for biogas and fertilizers.
Yes. Yes, so our objectives were unlocking the value of underutilized bio-based side and streams, and we especially looked for agriculture and forestry side, and we created new uses and business opportunities by turning these residues, including manure, straw, grass, forestry byproducts, industrial side streams, and bio-waste into inputs for biogas and fertilizers. So it's nutrients recycling. And we did building local circular value chains and supporting regional self-sufficiency, reduced waste, and enabling communities to benefit from those growing circular bioeconomy. Our main activities have been a digital marketplace. We have been developing this TREASoUrcE platform that is connecting suppliers and users of these streams and improving material flows that way. And it also opens new business opportunities and facilitates access to raw materials. Then we have also rural-urban symbiosis model. That is a model for linking rural biomass production with urban needs for energy, nutrients, and materials by optimizing these logistics, closing loops, and strengthening regional circularity. And then we have a local bioeconomy model, which is a practical framework for local value chains in biogas and nutrient recycling, and it's enhancing regional self-sufficiency and supporting low-carbon circular economic development. So these were the main parts. And here is the example view of the user interface of the digital marketplace. And then we have a TREASoUrcE presentation.
Thank you very much, Rina, again. So to wrap up the plenary session, I would like to give a bit more information about how we will move on in the afternoon in the parallel sessions. So we will have 3 breakout rooms, one for plastics, the other one for bioeconomy, and the other one is batteries. The plastics and bioeconomy sessions will be on the 2nd floor, Buckeye 1 room and Buckeye 2 room, and for batteries we will have it on the 2nd floor. The name of the room is Oak, and for all of the sessions we will use 2 hours of time. We will start at 1 after the lunch, and we will stop at 3 p.m. and we will come back to Pagoda, this room, and start here at 15:15. So there will be a 15 minutes of break for coffee and also coming back to the room. And after the lunch, before moving to the parallel sessions, we will lock this room. So please feel free to leave your belongings here, and we can move there to the downstairs freely. And what we will discuss about for all of the breakout rooms, key value chain introduction, first of all, and then We will discuss about regulations. We will have technical presentations, and we will have sustainability assessment. Finally, we will be talking about the stakeholder engagement for specifically for all of the breakout rooms and key value chains. And we will also have a panel discussion there for each of the key value chains. So I kind of would like to invite you to use this Menti for you to register to which breakout room that you would like to be included in, so that we have a rough number for each session. Yes. Okay, many for bioeconomy and batteries, little less for plastics so far. It's of course another race, but it's good to have some engagement in the plastic session as well. Okay. So I think I might have made a mistake about the floors of the room. So plastics and bioeconomy will be on the first floor, Buckeye 1 and Buckeye 2, and batteries will be on the second floor in the room Oak. But please feel free to ask us also, me and Chan as well, if you are a little bit confused. So that we can move on. Okay. Anyone who is still interested to vote, or are we all done? Okay, so let's go for the lunch place, and bon appetit, and let's continue with the plenary breakout rooms in the afternoon. Thank you. Hello, everyone, again. I hope you enjoyed the parallel sessions. It was insightful for you. And we can start the afternoon plenary session, where we will discuss more about best practices for engaging citizens in circular economy. Kaisa Sibelius from Forum Virium will be here with us about a short intro, circular economy learning for diverse audiences, online training in 3 cities. And then Anna Shamosi from Fredrikstad Municipality will be giving a presentation about local fix and repair workshop formats. And Tele Joost from Tallinn City will be telling more about reuse and toy swap. And then we will finalize the meeting afterwards. So I would like to invite Anna and Tele also to the stage. And I can give my words to Kaisa.
Okay. Stop. Oh my God.
It's okay.
So, okay. Okay.
Start when
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Kaisa Sibelius. As most of you know, I'm coming from Forum Virium Helsinki, and I will shortly tell about that how we have been
done together those enlightened consumer concept, what was mentioned in the project plan. So, but let's start with a short video about that.
While information about recycling is widely available, for some it's just too complicated or not even accessible. To meet this need, we created Recycling Master, an online course that makes learning about recycling simple, collaborative, and fun. To be precise, we co-created not one, but 3 accessible online recycling courses with adults and kids who need extra support, helping them learn practical, everyday recycling skills. The courses are designed for different learners. Residents in Norway who want to understand how household bio-waste is sorted and recycled. Already, hundreds of people have taken the course as part of local efforts in Fredrikstad, where food waste sorting is still relatively new and can be challenging. School children in Estonia to learn the basics of the circular economy. The school teachers have been using the materials around the country. And adults in Finland who need support with everyday life skills. Dozens of people have taken the course as part of their official rehabilitative training program. All 3 versions of the course are now available for free. You can become a recycling master yourself or adapt the materials to fit the needs of your learning group.
So that was a short video which introduced that what we have done. But as I said, this was the background was in the enlightened consumer, which was mentioned in the project plan, and the idea was that we will create a concept to develop the circular economy thinking and practices of among consumers and in their everyday life. And the focus areas were what we then in the end decided to concentrate on was that where those based on the needs of the cities and our partners in Fredrikstad and Tartu and in Helsinki. And the idea was that making it easier and fun and accessible for different kind of users and consumers and citizens. So we did it, as I said, mentioned, we did it together, and we started in Helsinki with the city of Helsinki, and then replicated already during the project what we were invented and in Fredrikstad and in Tartu and in Tallinn as well. And in Norway, it was supporting the residential citizens and also the newcomers who doesn't maybe are aware of and used to recycle and in Fredrikstad, they decided to concentrate mainly on the bio-waste. And now it's part of the official information package for the citizens. And in Estonia, the focus group was the school children, and it was the idea that the teachers will be conducted this work, and these materials are now available for all the teachers and schools in Estonia. And then this started from Helsinki, where we decided and discussed with the city's rehabilitated social services and disabled units that they would like to have some kind of materials for their customers, because they have recently got an online platform for courses. And then we decided that, well, that's something that they have not been able to find suitable materials, which is dedicated for their customers, which have some difficulties to reading or understanding the written language. So what we key learnings from the at least from the beginning was that you have to identify the need, that to address the gap to what have not been yet fulfilled. So as you know, there is plenty of all kind of recycling materials and information available, but they are quite general or done for that average audience. And also that to make these materials and work also available after the project, that find a committed partner in the beginning. And that's what I think that we have been managed to do. So all these materials will be available and also hopefully also be developed after the project. And then co-create with those end users. For example, in Helsinki, we had 3 workshops where we were invited those customers, but also the personnel of these units, and they gave us the feedback that how our ideas look like and feel and what's suitable for them. So I think that was all from my side. If you are interested in to check those courses, they are available on online. And also we have prepared recently in Finnish shorter versions of the courses, which then can be picked from by case, because this original course is very long for 16 hours in total. But these then you can pick those different topics and they are also published in that public website. Okay, but thank you for your attention. Okay. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Samoshi, and I am the special advisor in Fredrikstad municipality. And today I'm going to work about these fix and repair workshops we organized in Fredrikstad. But maybe not everyone knows what is Fredrikstad. Fredrikstad is the 6th largest city in Norway, but it's not a very big city. It's only 85,000 inhabitants, but it's a very charming city in the southeast coast of Norway. And we like to say that this is the capital of circular economy in Norway, which is of course overstated. But we have a lot of companies, big industrial companies in our city, which were involved in industrial symbiosis and circular practices in a very long time, and that we are very proud of. If it comes to repair culture, then the picture is maybe not so bright. In Norway, we don't really have, or maybe there is a limited tradition for repairing things due to high service costs and low availability of skilled repairers. So I would say that we rather replace than repair. So that's why we thought that we should focus on that, and our objective was to draw attention to the importance of reuse and repurposing, and to motivate our residents to a behavior change in that. Our concept was to organize public and free, easy access workshops for where people could come and get their stuff repaired so easy. We started with workshops, pop-up workshops, as part of other big events and festivals in the city, like the big clothes swap day or culture night in 2024. Because when we thought that these well-known events can attract easily a lot of people, then we can reach with this important message a lot of people, and it worked very well. But we got a lot of feedbacks that we should do that regularly, and that's what we did. After these pop-up versions, we started to do these workshops regularly. in our main library, whole 2025 actually, and also the first part of 2026. But we didn't give up totally this pop-up thematic either, because it's functioning very well. So we did it on Christmas markets, for example, when we focused on selling products or Christmas gifts with reused materials, and then there was also fix and repair activity in addition to that. And we also started a side event series where we targeted youth and children with redesign and reuse activity in cooperation with our cultural center. Here are some pictures you see from these events. The first one is in the library, and the other two is showing the marketing we use to attract teenagers. What kind of activities included? As I mentioned, fixing and repairing, so repair services, which are carried out by vocational students through their student-led companies. But we quite quickly realized that it cannot be only a passive activity that people just came and get things repaired. So it has to be learning by doing, and because it has a lasting impact. So we also started to teach them repair skills, basic repair skills, of course. And in addition to that, we did this creative redesign of existing items for children and youth. And of course, always the workshop leaders talking about generally about sustainability. Why is it important, and why is it better not to buy new things but repair things? So it's also an informal sustainability learning. I want to mention this repair carried out by students. So we didn't use professional repairers. We had a very good cooperation with an NGO or a non-profit organization in Norway, Youth Entrepreneurship. And this organization, they cooperate with schools and students, and they teach students in entrepreneurship and how they can set up their own company and how they can manage this company. And through this cooperation, we could ask these students to come and repair these things, and it made the whole setup economically sustainable for us. But it was also very good for them, because it was fostering a real world business environment for them. They could learn how they talk with customers and how they sell their products and services. So it was a win-win for all of us. The target group is, of course, the citizens in Fredrikstad, families, children, and youth. And our partners were, of course, these vocational students from different lines, and the schools, and the library, and other volunteers, and of course, youth entrepreneurship. Maybe the pictures I didn't. Yes, here. These are also the pictures from the different kind of workshops, from the library and from the schools, mainly. Yes, and a quantitative about the impact, of course. We have some quantitative data. For example, the first pop-up was on the culture night. It was 5,000 visitors on that day. But of course, not everyone participated the fix and repair. It was around 150 people. And it's almost the same with the clothes swap. But after, when we started these regular workshops, then it was weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. It depends which kind of workshop we are talking about. But there was always around 20, 30 participants. So, and we have done it in over a year. So it's quite a lot of people we reached. And also dozens of items repaired, of course, monthly. But maybe the biggest, I am very proud of our media visibility, because I was also a bit surprised at how much media was interested in that concept, that the students repairing things for adults. So we were featured several times on the national Norwegian TV. and also TV2 and different radio stations, and of course a lot of social media. Qualitative impacts, yes. Residents, of course, appreciate very much that it's for free, and that it was quite practical and educational, and they expressed that they were more connected to sustainability after this learning by doing activities. And the library and the St. Croix Culture House became quite a hub for sustainability learning. So that's very good for us in the municipality. Yeah, key lessons. I am absolutely sure that the community is interested in sustainable practices when opportunities are made accessible. And of course, it's very important that it has to be accessible and consistent. So, I mean, same place, same times, build routine. But we also will continue with this pop-up embedded in store in big well-attended events, because it attracts a lot of people, and it's easy to raise awareness through them. People prefer hands-on practical experiences is also important finding, and involving youth and volunteers helps to keep the cost down, but the engagement high. And yes, we have some challenges regarding that the vocational students are always changing after a year. And maybe the next class is not as motivated as the class before to participate, but that's why it's very important to have a very good cooperation with their teachers and the school. Yes, and then about replication criteria. I was asked to talk about that and have an emphasis on that. But this list here shows not just our experiences in Fredrikstad. It shows also the experiences from the other partners, because Tartu and Tallinn and Tampere did also a great job in fix and repairs. And of course, as I mentioned already, to do it regularly, it's very important. Same place, same time, and but try to integrate them also in big and large events helps with the boost visibility and participation. And easy access, important. So keep it free or low cost, and also physically accessible in the center of the city. Yeah, familiar locations always help, because people are a bit afraid to come, but if they know the location, then it helps a lot. And of course, partnerships. It was mentioned several times today that collaboration is very important between the different actors, like municipalities and volunteers and schools and NGOs, and maybe also business actors. And that you have to combine the repair with learning, that it's a hands-on experience, because it builds a long-term behavior change. Yes, of course, you have to, maybe it's very, you have to engage people who really know how to fix, because then you can, the quality is important, and the communication. Sometimes we don't communicate it enough, and then of course, less people come. So yeah, but that's quite obvious. Mistakes to avoid, yeah, not doing just one time, but several times, and yeah, focus also on learning, not just repairing for them, and underestimating the repair skills, because people participating have really different experiences. So your workshop leaders could has to manage that. Yeah, these pictures here shows actually the Christmas markets, when we had the Christmas markets outside with reused products and fix and repair inside. But here, yeah, the future visions for us in Fredrikstad, of course, we would like to go further with these workshops also after the project is over. Our two main partner, library and the St. Croix Culture Center, already said yes, so that's very positive. I think it's very important to formalize cooperation with the vocational schools. Yeah, maybe as part of the curriculum as a professional training. I'm not sure how we can do that, but I would like to achieve that. And we would like to keep the activities very low, free, preferably free. But if we cannot, then it has to be introduced some small fees, or we have to find local businesses as a partner or other external fundings. And the most important is the last, that we need a clear municipal ownership for this operation. So we are already discussing it inside the municipality, which department could take it over from us, the coordinating role. It could be, of course, the education department or the waste management department, but we are working on it. And maybe these key findings are not very groundbreaking, but I really think that we achieved something, and we could motivate a lot of citizens to change their behavior or take better choices in their daily life. So yeah, that's for myself. I don't know if there is any questions, but yeah, feel free. Okay.
Thank you, Anna. Then I can invite Teele Joost from Tallinn City for reuse and toy swap.
Hello, my name is Teele Joost. I'm the project manager in Tallinn City. I suppose all you know where Tallinn is. It's the capital of Estonia, but what you might not know that in 2024 we were the green capital of Europe, and over the past few years we have moved quite nicely toward the circular economy, because we have transform our waste station into circular economy stations, for example, and we have done quite a lot of awareness raising among citizens. But today I'm talking about the replication event, or I'd rather say replication campaign, which we conducted in the end of last year. Before I give you an overview of our event, I just want to show you some numbers. The average child in Europe has around 238 toys at a time, which for me seems to be quite a lot. And over the childhood, a child has average child has up to 500 toys, and many of these toys are rarely used. The excitement of getting a new toy is often greater than the joy of playing with it a long time. So that's why I see the toy swap quite a relevant approach. We got the idea from Tampere. Tampere organized a toy swap event in 2022. I quite liked the idea of swapping toys, and it was success in there. And I wanted to adopt a proven concept in Tallinn also. What I liked about the toy swap event in Tampere was the simplicity. So they just collected the toys, sorted them, and then was the swapping part. There was a voucher or token system. There was a strong community focus and clear environmental impact. I liked all of these approaches and kept them in our case also. But we didn't organize the Stories Vibe quite the same way as Tampere did, because Tampere had a certain event organized by themselves in one certain location. But we decided to make it as a campaign nationwide. We cooperated with Green School program to get closer to the focus group. We created simple guidelines and ready to use materials. We created campaign website and engage children institution to organize their own event. The main idea of the campaign was that the children can feel just as happy receiving a reused toy as getting a new one. To engage the children institution, we sent out direct emails. We made a lot of influence by social media, by posts. We created a lot of downloadable campaign materials which were ready to use. And we got support from our key stakeholders. Media also made some articles, and we were also asked in a TV show to talk about our approach and our campaign. Here I brought out some comparison between Tampere case and our case. As Tampere case was one event, we made a nationwide campaign. We had several, more than 100 different locations at the time. But we kept the simple format. We still had the community touch. In our case, the event wasn't open for every citizen, but more closed, or the engagement was among the specific people connected to the institution organizing the event. And in Tampere, they had also some side programs which we didn't have. The feedback was very positive. We got a lot of feedback, and we also created battle page where we collected the feedback. A lot of institutions posted their positive feedback to there. Also, there are a lot of photos and videos. The feedback was very important to us, but maybe it was at least the same important to the participants themselves, because all of them got to know how the others schools and kindergartens organized the same kind of event, and they somehow shared their ideas through that. So about numbers, 134 educational institutions organized the event. There was 20 schools and 106 kindergartens, and also some preschools and hobby schools. And more than 10,000 toys found new home. Some feedback highlight. More than 90%, almost 100%, participants said that it should be or could be annually organized or regularly organized event. Most of them said that it was very easy to organize the event, and they appreciated the clear instruction provided by us. And what's also very important is that it led to conversations in kindergartens at homes, which was some kind of goal from my side. I really hoped that it creates some conversations about the amount of toys we really need and the consumption itself. Here were three main takeaways maybe when replicating or organizing the same kind of event. It has to be convenient to organize that kind of event or whatever event, basically. Convenient to both sides, for the organizers and for the participants. Use clear and simple messages and eye-catching visuals to make the connection between organizers and the guests of the event. And focus on exciting opportunity, not restrictions or obligation when we're talking about movement to environmental friendly approach. And yes, that's basically it.
Okay, so before concluding the final event, we have a Mentimeter, so we would like to ask your help for giving the answers to some of the questions. So, sorry, before the, yeah, just see the question one more time. So, what are the most interesting aspects of today? And you will see the barcode soon. Yeah. Yes, very clear answer. I can see battery. Collaboration, practicality, ways to engage, policy and innovation, ways to engage, successful cases, good to hear, stakeholder engagement, replication possibilities, people, scaling up, upcycle, thematic sessions, that's also good to hear, network, enabling conditions panel, biogas models, concrete examples, toy swap, collaboration models, challenges, bioeconomy pilots, all very interesting, yes. All right, maybe we can move on to the next question. So what are the, okay, this is not it. Which solution has the highest scaling potential? Maybe a tricky question, but it doesn't mean that there's a competition on that, but you can reflect your own point of view. Okay, battery, biogas plant. Fix and repair, second life, battery circulation. A lot of things circulate on batteries. Company-based ones, collaboration models, toy swap, a lot of toy swap I can see. Fix and repair. Stakeholder engagement activities. Repair workshop and swap. Biogas plant, another one. Biogas plant, bioenergy conversion, battery reuse, fix and repair, biogas models, another battery, high value chemicals instead of biogas, fix and repair, toy swap, plastic renewal. Okay. I think all good. Let's move on to the next question. What should be prioritized after treasures? That's a clear goal, I think. Get a new project. Collaboration, new projects again, scalability of pilots, yes. Implement, adapt solutions, local collaboration, continuous development, of course. Showing benefits. Replicating the project results into whole EU, getting findings flow, scale the pilots, economic feasibility, commercialization, practical actions. Maybe we can scroll down a bit. Yes. I can realize my name there. Marketing, use the results, scaling pilots, peer learning with other initiatives, scaling of pilots again, scaling up. A lot of things circulating around scaling up. Replication guidance, replication of developed solutions, keep up with the activities, making solutions, scaling up. Another one, deployment. Yes. All very good and all make sense, I think. Yeah. Thank you very much. So I would like to ask one more thing before finalizing the meeting. Just to address the reuse, we would like to collect the badges that we have distributed to you. You can leave them back to the desk that you have taken them, but Treasures project members can still have them because we will use them again tomorrow and on Thursday. So just for the ones that are not in Treasures, please kindly leave the badges there in the table. So I would like to thank you all for all the collaboration and being with us, giving the energy, insights, and openness you brought to our final event. It's been a privilege to share these moments with you and the ideas and solutions we explored together, not only during the project, but also with all of you. I hope it will be, it has showed a collective work and it doesn't end here, so that it evolves into next strategic steps and chapters as we take as regions, cities, and organizations and partners. I hope you leave today inspired, connected, and ready to carry this momentum forward into wider transition that we are building all together. Thank you very much.